What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Jody Smoke the Mad Scientist, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Overclock, the talent, and specifically damage debuffs. The reason I'm doing this is I got a couple of comments asking why in my previous video I would ever consider using Overclock as a talent. So I want to go into a bit more depth about why I'm using it, why I think it's effective, and when it's effective and what situations it is effective. There is also another damage debuff build that has Oppetunistic as opposed to Overclock. If you want to look at that build, it's very similar to this one, does still provide the one-shot heals. Please like and subscribe, check out my videos. I'll try and post a link in the comment below if I remember after, but if not, you can have a look. It's in one of my videos. I think it's the second video that I've made, and I will continue to make these new videos. And please check out the Toxic Eagle bearer build that I've just made, because I think it's probably the most toxic build you could run in PvP in the game right now, and it's hilarious to play with. But we'll get back down into the build. So first of all, we're going to talk about the damage debuff aspect, as I think it's the main key aspect of these builds, and I think that's what a lot of people are sleeping on. They're trying to think in terms of healing, but I'm only using the healing as sustainability. But either way, correct us if I'm wrong, that this build can actually hit like a 5-man squad. If you run alongside skill DPS or weapon DPS, this build will boost your teammates' damage by 32% almost consistently, and across the board, across the 3 DPS, that's 96% damage bonus that you get into your hardest hitting members, which I mean is phenomenal. That's almost like running a 5th man. I would also like to point out that most of the important benefit of the build and the damage debuff builds is that the individual DPS is hitting 32% more effective per shot or per skill damage for each individual enemy is hitting, allowing them to clear adds or rogues quicker. It allows less ticks from TPs or pestilence builds, and there's less overall incoming damage because there's less enemies around, as you can take out multiple enemies quicker. This will boost your ability to bunker as a team. This will probably be more effective with skill damage players with Overclock, because obviously this is why I'm talking about it. Overclock is very effective for skill damage players, and skill damage is extremely OP in PvP, as we already know. But alongside that, you can provide full one-shot heals, and with Overclock or Opportunistic, you can either boost multiplicative damage by 10% to tagged enemies, which will help you. It's from all sources, so it'll help both players, or you can utilise Overclock for a more skill based team and get the 20% skill cooldown with its 0.2 over a second for everyone in front of your hive, especially if you're bunkering. And you get the additional 25% reload speed from Overclock, which can be useful for LMG users, DPS users, and it might get to a point or an extent where they can switch out something like fast hands and instant MG5 and substitute it for measured or maybe friendly. In terms of an M1A, both the builds will boost the DPS's M1A shot to around 6 million. You normally hit 4.5 million with a headshot crit if you're running someone's running Coyote, or if you're running Coyote yourself. I can hit around these numbers, and I've tested this with my friend. He's hitting around 6.6 million with Opportunistic, 6 million with Overclock. So I mean the damage boost that you're getting is absolutely phenomenal. And also you're getting the weapon handling boost, which gives you swap speed, reload speed, accuracy and stability buffs at 16.95%, which you're getting additional on top of that. So I think this build caters for DPS teams greater than 4 DPS, especially for speedruns. I mean, you've got the heals that I'm providing, which is one shot full, and it means sustained shooting out of cover for me DPS people, and it's allowing me empathic resolve to proc quicker. The damage buff that I'm getting from the tenacity, the damage buff, negates the loss of DPS from myself, but I can hit harder, and any damage that I do is additional to the already boosted damage, which is equivalent to another DPS player anyways. So if I'm hitting a lot and I can sustain shooting, then we'll be hitting with the DPS of maybe above a 5-man team, plus the additional buffs to cooldown and or reload, or the multiplicative damage bonus that you could get from Opportunistic are already applied on top of this already boosted damage bonus that you get, meaning that you've got more damage output per person, especially if you've got the reload speed and you're using Overclock, but obviously more so with Opportunistic with a 10% damage. But it still applies to Overclock. You're still getting more efficiency from your players in terms of fire rate. and the ability to fire. Plus, on this build you can roll 60% hazard protection, which is vital for any build inside the PvP or PvE, and it can help your survivability long. And as we all know, in PvP, and especially if you're in like a skill build and you're bunkering in, the thing that kills you, especially with a lot of efficient people builds, is you haven't got the sustained heals. Once you run out of med kits, that's pretty much it. And also the skill windows that you're getting in that. But we'll talk about a little more about Overclock now, after I've covered that. That's why I think damage is so much important. I think the stats of 96% across 3 players, if you can consistently use your booster hive and the empathic resolve, which this build has a really good refill space. I'll quickly go over the build again just so we're familiar with it. But that additional speed, I think it's you can't get better for a team, and it's a must have for any team in my personal opinion. But we'll go over Overclock and why I'm using it and why I think Overclock is important. So Overclock is allies within 7 meters of your deployed skills gain 25% reload speed and reduces their active cooldown by 0.2 seconds each second, which is 20% on a second, so you're gaining 20% skill cooldown. Now, a skilled player, if he wants to be as effective as possible in run skill haste, in my opinion, I think that's the biggest balance between a skill haste and the skill build's biggest dilemma is how much status effect and skill damage do you want to sacrifice to get your skill haste up. To optimize your skill haste, you need to run a Hannah and an improvised holster. That'll give you 22% skill haste. However, stand in front of my hive, it'll give you 20% skill haste. So it negates the amount by 2, other than the 2% that you're gaining from using the improvised, providing you've got a fully modified mod slot, which I believe I have there, a mod slot there, 12% one. I haven't got it slotted in, but there, 12%. So you're losing 2%, but in return you're gaining 2 slots. You could run the Imperial Dynix holster, make yourself a bit more survivable in the Dark Zone. If you're running a 2-piece China, you could change to a 3-piece China. If you're running no Wyvern, you could now run a 2-piece Wyvern. You could roll a Golan in there and roll it onto a skill tier and run a Golan in there. You're getting much more benefit from, and you don't have to run so much skill haste. You can still roll your 6 skill haste in your 6 gear slots, but you don't have to run the skill haste in terms of, you don't have to run skill haste to provide so much yourself, because you're getting pretty much the same bonus you would get. And I think offsetting that with an extra 10% skill haste or an extra 10% skill damage, or maybe running a Costa Go bag, I think that makes all the more difference. Although Overcharge, I will know it doesn't work in the Dark Zone or PvP, but you could use that for PvE. And I think you can boost your damage numbers higher, especially considering I'm already boosting skill damage numbers, because we're talking about skill damage here. I'm already boosting their numbers by 30% anyways, because that boosts skill damage there, and the booster hive only boosts weapon damage. So you're getting like 15% on your skill damage plus that, plus your weapon damage, the 15%. So I'm boosting skill damage by 15%, plus the cooldown. They get an additional weapon damage. And I mean, in the Dark Zone you probably run the Seeker, so you've got a lot of opportunity to shoot, or you're running a Stinger, so you've got a lot of opportunity to shoot. You still want that ability to shoot, which is why this is so effective, I believe, in PvP for bunkering in, and especially on like team elimination in conflict, because if you get in there, you're pretty much unstoppable, and you can outlast people because you've got them constant heals that are going to tick over, and you benefit from that refreshed cooldown and reload speed. I've got Vindictive there, but I did have another build in there. I don't know why Vindictive's in there, but you could put in Vindictive in there and boost your critical down. Oh, that's correct, I was using Vindictive because it can boost critical hit damage. Like I said, we'll quickly go over the build anyways, but that's why I was so enthused about this build, and this is why I think this build is probably one of the most important builds in the game that everyone is sleeping on. Maybe changing that for Oppetunistic, but for skilled players, definitely, I don't think you can get a better build with regards to this. I don't think there's any other backpack talents that buff skills in this buff skill haste. But we'll go over the build quickly. I've got a Technician, that's for the extra skill tier, which allows us to run Coyote, which can help boost my team's critical hit chance and damage. Also run Vindictive, because I'm trying to I'm assuming I'm running with someone who's going to proc a status, and then get the status ability just to boost that, especially in the dark zone. If someone's running the Imperial Holster, I can boost critical chance even more. I've got Reformation for the extra skill repair. I've done a nice little balance here of skill repair and repair skills, with also some hazard protection in there. So you get the hazard protection from the dark zone, which allows you to stay in your area quicker, your area more efficiently, and not get absolutely blasted. And you've got sufficient heals, 810,000. PvP repair over time is 400, so you're half shotting in the PvP, but in PvE you are full shot and one shot heals. And the repair over time is for, how many seconds there? 7 seconds. So you're pretty much full healing a squad, and because you have got level 2, you have got a significant, level 6 sorry, you have got a significant base, so you can just one shot can pretty much heal your whole team. And that's why I think this is so important. I mean, I'll give you a little demonstration of my numbers and how it'll increase my numbers on this build. And the beauty about this build also, you get into red, so you're getting 15% weapon damage, you're getting this critical hit damage boost, and it just means that you're not shooting a potato with your 6 tier skill build, and you can give buffs to your team at the same time. And as you can see, it's not great, but it's hitting for 3 million. And I mean, even in the dark zone, and that wasn't even headshots. We'll switch this up into an elite enemy and we'll pop some headshots. 3.5 million for a skill build isn't too bad. And then you pop your booster high. That was just because it was a terrible shot, but we'll give you a base shot damage buff. There you go. You're hitting extra damage there, an extra million I'm getting out of that. 93,000 as opposed to 83,000, and 137 on a crit, plus you're getting that crit damage bonus and crit chance bonus, and I'm already sitting at 67 crit damage, so you're not getting bad crit damage and crit chance out of this build as well. I can't see after all them points that I put out why anyone wouldn't want to run this build in your team. But I'd like to hear what you think. I'd like to hear your opinion on it. It is something totally different. It's a different concept about how to play the game that I don't think anyone's really truly delved into. I'd like to hear your opinions on it. And yeah man, everyone take care, stay safe and enjoy Division.